Hello, everyone, and welcome to part two of episode 26 of the Should Go On Pro podcast. Technology strikes again. Similar to the last part two that we had to do. We had some technical difficulties. Brock couldn't hear me, and we had to end up cutting the other episode short and resetting after I had Brock awkwardly ramble for like 5 minutes as I tried to figure out the situation, but we should be good now. So apologies for it being two parts, but that's the way life goes. So thank you to Adam as always, our behind the scenes helper who's been on this episode as well, for helping us kind of figure the stuff out and edit up the old one and take out Brock's awkward rambling. But I mean, it would have been awkward for me to do it too, so I don't blame you. But yeah, let's get the ball rolling. So, just a quick recap of what we've picked so far. The West side, we both picked Phoenix, Dallas, Golden State, and Memphis. And then the semifinals, we both picked Phoenix and Golden State. So that's our Western Conference Finals matchup that we both chose. In the East so far, we both picked Miami. I picked Philly. He picked Toronto. And we both picked Milwaukee. So the only one we don't agree on so far is the the Philadelphia-Toronto matchup. But moving down now to Boston and Brooklyn. Your pick is already on here due to our technical difficulties, but you want to explain why you chose Boston in 6?
Yeah, no, I feel like Brooklyn, I think that's gonna be a pick that a lot of people are looking at for an upset. And I certainly could see it happen. But I just think, you hear rumors about Ben Simmons possibly making his return in this series. And I was hearing people, I was listening to a show on the radio this morning, driving back to Bloomington, about how if Ben Simmons does make it on the floor, and I think it was Tim Legler was saying, if Boston can get to the point where they have 4 or 5 fouls and only need a couple more to get into the bonus and Ben Simmons is on the floor, why not just hack him? Hack him, get him at the free throw line. That's where he really struggled in that Atlanta series. I think he had the lowest free throw percentage ever in a series in NBA playoff history last year. I can't remember. It was just abysmal. Could not make a thing. And I think that's when he stopped making free throws and the fans were booing him and getting heckled. That's kind of when the confidence issues started, and he just lost all of it. So, and I think it's just going to be hard for. He hasn't made a debut. He hasn't played a game for the Nets yet. Someone was making a joke that the only time Ben Simmons has wore a uniform is on Team Picture Day. So I think it's going to be hard for Brooklyn to have chemistry when he gets inserted back into the lineup. If he does continue to go, or if he does come back in the series, I think that's going to throw off their chemistry. And I mean, Boston's a really good team. They've played together all season long. They were another team that I think really was underwhelming in the first part of the season for really no real reason. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum are 2 really good players, and Boston is really hot right now. They've risen up the rankings. I was a little shocked that they got all the way up to the 2 seed with the way they started the season, but it's not about how you start, it's how you finish. Boston is playing some of their best basketball right now, and when you look at the Nets, I think, we're 6 years now removed from Kyrie hitting, or 5 years. No, 6. Yeah, 6. Math's terrible. 6 years removed from Kyrie hitting that shot to win Game 7 of the NBA Finals. What has he done in the postseason since then? Not a whole lot. He was hurt last year with the ankle in the Milwaukee series and was the reason that I think Brooklyn wins that series if Kyrie's there. But he's just not available, and who knows what's going to happen. It always feels like there's something with Kyrie. So I just don't trust Brooklyn. I feel like it's so hard to people were saying it about the Lakers last year when they played Phoenix. They're like, oh, Phoenix should be worried. The Lakers are going to be able to flip a switch. They have LeBron and Anthony Davis, and that just wasn't the case. It's hard to flip a switch in the playoffs when you're meeting teams when you're playing quality opponents, especially in a 7-game series where teams are able to make adjustments, and what you see in Game 1 is not going to be what you see in Game 2, and on down the line going so forth. So I just think I don't know. I'm not buying into the Brooklyn trap here, and I think Boston handles them in 6, And I think KD's good enough to win Brooklyn 2 games. He's gonna go off in this series. He's crazy. One of the best scorers, if not the best scorer in NBA history. And another good playoff run for KD, but I'm betting he's really regretting leaving Golden State now. Which I get it. Again, has to verify his legacy. Those titles with the Warriors, call them what you want. You can say they're fake, which I think it was a pretty weak move on KD's part to go join this, make the super team. But again, I think he's done nothing. He's been able to do nothing in terms of championship wise or even make it back to the final since he left Golden State. Obviously, that 1 year was null because of the injury when he set out for the Achilles. But I'm rambling, but I'm not buying into the Brooklyn hype train heading into the postseason. I think they run into a really good Boston team who takes them down in 6.
I'm going Boston in 7. I agree. I like your reasoning about this Boston series. Again, they're getting hot at the right time. I think if you gave this Nets team more time with Ben Simmons in the lineup, it could make a difference. But right now, throwing him into the fire is not going to work. He's going to be all rattled because of what happened last year in the playoffs, and he hasn't played basketball pretty much since then. I think if you were to get Ben Simmons playing throughout the season, he would have been healthy throughout the year, and you kind of put him into a defensive and rebounding role, pretty much almost have him as like another big man because Drummond's pretty much the only big man that they have besides Claxton, just okay. I mean, the big men in Brooklyn can get a little sketchy. So I have Boston in 7, though. I think just the sheer firepower of what we saw, especially last year in the playoffs from KD and Kyrie, who missed a lot of last year, but he can turn it on too, as we saw in the playing game. I think that this Brooklyn team can make a run, but defensively they are really concerning. And this Boston team is a fantastic defensive team. So I'm going to go with Boston in 7. And I think Brooklyn's going to have to reconsider what they do as far as trying to make a more well-balanced team because on paper it looks good, but when you get out there and actually play, the intangibles and the defense are just extremely lacking. And Boston is going to have some big outings from Tatum and Brown, stuff like that. And I think a big key factor, too, that could make it less games is if Robert Williams is able to come back and be a contributor because he'll be the guy in the post that's going to create mismatches. And I think that he's going to be a big factor if he's able to come back. But I'm going to go Boston in 7. But I think this is going to be a good series regardless. And just really for the fact that Kevin Durant is playing in the series. But I think it's not going to be enough, and Brooklyn's going to be disappointed again this year. So I'm taking Boston in 7. Moving up to the top, we have I have Miami and Philly. You have Miami and Toronto. I'm going Miami in 6 games, and I think this Miami team, like I said, is very underrated. And even though they're 1 seed, which is kind of crazy to say, but everyone's talking about every other team except for Miami when people are kind of overlooking them. This is a really deep team, and I think defensively they're going to frustrate the Sixers a lot. And again, just the depth and inconsistency for the Sixers is going to be really concerning. So I think they have the firepower to win 2 games, but it's really hard to win the playoffs in Miami. And I think that they'll get the job done in 6 games. And I don't think the Sixers have much of a chance. I'm giving them 6 as kind of a nice move. I was debating between 5 or 6, but I'm going to go with 6 just to benefit the doubt there. So Miami will outlast Philadelphia in my eyes.
Yeah, I have Miami as well, but I'm not going to give Toronto the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to give them in 5. I just think Toronto, you can say what you want about Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, but I consider them superstars. I don't know if everybody does. Obviously, Jimmy Butler really struggles shooting the 3-pointer, but I mean, he's so good defensively and he knows what he's good at and he does it well in the postseason. Same with Bam Adebayo. They have Tyler Hero coming off the bench. They have just a dog in Kyle Lowry. As much as I don't like Kyle Lowry, I think he's my least favorite NBA player. But anyway, not gonna get into that. But I just think Miami, adding Kyle Lowry in the offseason, I thought that was the point guard acquisition that they needed. Got him away from Toronto. So I have Miami in 5. I think this is where the run ends for Toronto. I just don't see Van Fleet, Siakam, and Scotty Barnes being able to do enough to overcome what Miami can do defensively and certainly offensively with Butler, Adebayo, Lowry, Hero, as well as some of the other shooters like Duncan Robinson they have on that team. I feel like Duncan Robinson's kind of an X factor in that series because, I mean, they paid him all that money, and he's a guy that can go out there and just get scorching hot, make 7 threes in a blink of an eye, and just really shoot Miami and just shoot Miami into a win. And I'm excited to see Miami back in the Eastern Conference Finals. I love Jimmy Butler ever since I'm so mad when he left Chicago, and I personally think the biggest mistake Philadelphia made a couple off seasons ago when they lost to Toronto in the Eastern Conference on that crazy shot by Kawhi. I think letting Jimmy Butler go and re-signing Tobias Harris has kind of come back to bite him in the butt. I think Joel Embiid's talked about it a couple times how he loved Jimmy Butler as a teammate, and I think Jimmy Butler just seems like a guy that's for Philly. I mean, those fans that's just a hard-working, hard-nosed city, and Jimmy Butler feels like he fits that mold perfectly. Just what you know about him, a guy was the 30th pick in the draft, and now he's been a multiple-time All-Star, All-NBA, All-Defense, been to a finals by himself on a team. So, yeah, I think Philadelphia made a mistake letting Jimmy Butler go. But anyway, hey, that's Miami's problem to worry about now, and they're reaping the benefits. So Miami in the Eastern Conference Finals.
All right. And then we have this matchup, which has gone back and forth in my head a decent amount here, this Boston-Milwaukee matchup. I feel like this is a fantastic second-round series. Both this one and the Golden State-Memphis one, both the 2-3 matchups, I feel like are going to be outstanding here. This one has me torn a little bit because this Boston team is so good defensively, but Milwaukee knows how to win. They have a fantastic roster built, and I think that it's hard to look past that, especially with how dominant Giannis was and still is. And his playoff run last year was phenomenal. So it's really hard for me to pick against Milwaukee here. I'm going Milwaukee in 7 games. And again, I feel like Boston could, if they're able to find a way to not stop Giannis, because nobody can stop Giannis, but at least change up the game plan to not give as many open lanes to the basket, or he's even got a 3-point shot now, so I guess you got to close out on him all the way out there too. So I'm gonna go Milwaukee in 7. I feel like Boston just it's really tough, man. I feel like they're missing something. I can't put my nose on necessarily because they have these 2 all-stars on their roster. They have good role pieces. I feel like maybe some of their front court depth could be a little bit of an issue, but it's kind of them getting picky at this point. I mean, I feel like this is going to be kind of like the Bucks Nets series last year, where it went to 7 games and it came down to the overtime, and literally anybody could have won it at the last second. It just depended on who stepped up.
It was a toe. I mean,
yeah.
Kevin Durant hit that shot, and it's just a game of inches. It's crazy to think about that Kevin Durant was 3 inches away from sending Brooklyn to the NBA Finals, but it's crazy.
Yeah.
No, Eastern Conference.
Eastern Conference Finals.
Right?
Yeah, Eastern.
Sorry, yeah. I forget that Atlanta randomly got hot last year and just rolled to the Eastern Conference Finals. But yeah, sorry. Anyway, yeah, no, I agree. Were you done?
Oh no, yeah, I was just saying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I feel like I'm about done. But I was just saying, I feel like this is similar to that series where it's going to come down to a couple plays in a game 7 that decide who wins it. And it's the closest thing to a toss-up as you could possibly get. But I'm picking Milwaukee in 7 to go on and play Miami in the East Finals. All right, so
yeah.
now I'm good.
Again, I mean, it's hard to pick against Milwaukee at this point, and I'm not going to here. It feels a little boring to have them back in the Eastern Conference Finals, but they're just such a good team, and they do so many things well. You know, like I was mentioning when they were both the Bulls series, they are susceptible to getting beat at the 3-point line. They're so good on the interior defense, so they'll give up threes. So I mean, if Boston can expose that, I think it's good, which I think they will. I think they'll push this series out and obviously to the 7 games. But it's just so hard to pick against Milwaukee at this point with the body of work that they've had, what Giannis has been able to do in the playoffs. Chris Middleton came up big last year. I thought he needed to have a big postseason last year. I thought there was some questions about some of his postseason play, especially after the bubble when he just went ghost mode and really did not show up at all. And yeah, I think Giannis has silenced the haters in terms of the what you saw against that Miami series when he really struggled and Miami just built the wall and they beat him, and Milwaukee was the number one overall seed, and I think Miami beat him in 4 or 5 games. And just so, I mean, Giannis has come a long way since then. He's really worked on his game. So yeah, I've got the Bucks winning in 7. That's going to be a really good series. I hope that's how it shakes out. Brooklyn, don't rob us of this opportunity. I want to see Boston. I don't want to see you guys in there. You don't deserve it. You don't deserve it.
I don't know if they don't deserve it, but I don't think that they have anywhere near close enough defense to be able to compete with these guys down the stretch. But getting into the conference finals on both ends, we both had the same matchups here: Phoenix, Golden State, and Miami and Milwaukee, both a 1 versus 3. And I'm gonna go with Phoenix to beat Golden State, and I think what it comes down to is DeAndre Ayton in the paint is going to dominate against this Golden State team. I think that some of the shooters for Golden State, if they end up getting a little streaky, that could cause some problems. But I think just the overall team that Phoenix has, as far as their depth, their inside play is going to be hard for Golden State to stop. And I think that they learned a lot from last year and have that experience. And I think Phoenix is able to win it in 6 games. I could see this going either 5 or 7 too, really just depending on how some of these things swing. And I think it's really important to think about, because usually there's a team every postseason that gets some devastating injuries that really hurt their runs. So I could see some of this stuff shaking out differently if any of these teams have a star player that is nicked up for a little bit and not playing like their normal selves. So I'm gonna say Phoenix in 6, but I feel like Golden State is just missing a little bit of depth and just the inside play. I feel like it's huge. DeAndre Ayton had a fantastic postseason last year, and I feel like he's gonna carve up the Golden State front court. So I'm gonna go Phoenix in 6, but it's gonna be a fun series to watch too.
Damn, even picked the game that I was going to pick too. Yeah, I have Phoenix in 6 as well. I think, again, like you just said, Golden State's really small, and they like to run the lineup with Steph, Clay, Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins, and Draymond Green, and that's just too small. I mean, Draymond Green's a great defender, but he's giving up a lot of size, he's giving up a lot of inches to DeAndre Ayton, and DeAndre Ayton's a monster. It's kind of his coming out party last year in the postseason, and was a big reason why Phoenix was able to ride that momentum to the finals and what was a really competitive series against the Bucks. But yeah, I think DeAndre Ayton gives Golden State a lot of trouble. This is going to be another series where he's going to be leaned on, and I think he's going to be unstoppable. And that's going to be tough for Golden State to overcome. And again, it's so hard to pick against Phoenix after what they've looked like this year. They've looked like the clear and away favorite out of the Western Conference, really from honestly before the All-Star break. I mean, they were double digits better than teams in terms of the standings in second and third place. So I think there's a reason they're the 1 seed. And I think they've been the best team all season long. And I could see Golden State getting to 7. I could see in that Steph and Clay doing what they do, getting really hot and shooting Golden State back to the NBA Finals. But I just think they're going to have such a hard time with DeAndre Ayton. Devin Booker is a better player this year. Mikal Bridges has taken a step forward. Chris Paul, always steady, which he's the guy that Phoenix cannot lose, which, I mean, that sounds dumb, but I mean, obviously he's the guy they can't lose. He's the heart and soul, the leader of that team. And without Chris Paul, he got hurt in the middle of the season, I think. I don't know what Phoenix's record was, but losing him in the regular season is a lot different than losing him in the postseason, obviously. And that's a guy that Phoenix cannot afford to lose. So Chris Paul's got to stay healthy this postseason. I think he does. He was a little bit banged up last year in the Lakers series and moving forward in the playoffs, but I like Phoenix. I think they've proven this year that last year was no fluke and that they're the real deal. I mean, good for Phoenix because they were, again, one of those teams that was just so bad for so many years, and now they just kind of came out of nowhere and kind of took some people by surprise last year, and then they put their money where their mouth is this year, and it really impressed me. I did not expect Phoenix to be the 1 seed from the jump in the Western Conference.
Yeah, I mean Phoenix has been dominant pretty much the entire season. They barely had any blips in their schedule. I mean, they've got. I just love what they've done with their roster as far as adding these pieces around their stars. And I think that they've done it the right way, and they have guys that can do anything on the court, not just guys that just hit threes and no defense or vice versa and stuff like that. So I think that everyone on their team could take over anytime, and I think that's huge for Phoenix. I'm picking them as well. As far as Miami, Milwaukee, I hate to be boring, but I feel like I have to pick Milwaukee here. Again, I feel like it's boring having the same finals as last year, but I'm just looking at it, and this Milwaukee team, I just don't know how you stop Giannis. I mean, you can put Bam on him, but he's faster than Bam. Jimmy Butler on him, but he's bigger than Jimmy Butler. I mean, it's with Giannis, I just don't know how you stop him without having a guy that can match up with him enough. And I don't know if Miami has that. I do think it's going to be a good series, though. I'm going to go Milwaukee in 7. And I think that about the same thing as you. Is that what you're shaking your head?
I'm back and forth. It's going to go 7 games. I just don't know who to pick. It's so hard. I don't want to be boring and put both 1 seeds in, but I don't want to be boring and put Milwaukee, Phoenix back in the NBA Finals. But it's like until someone proves that they have an answer to stop what Phoenix and Milwaukee have been able to do this year. Milwaukee has Brook Lopez back now toward the end of the season. He played good last year in the NBA Finals. Bobby Portis had a good postseason last year. You know, Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, Giannis. It's tough. I think Miami comes out with a good game plan. You know, they've matched up before. I think last year wasn't even really a series. Milwaukee nuked Miami and kind of just, silenced some of their demons. Miami had given Milwaukee trouble in the postseason before, but I like it in 7 games. I think Eric Spoelstra is going to have Miami ready to play. They're going to be making adjustments on both sides, him and Budenholzer. I'm going to go Miami just to be different and get a little bit of a different look. But that series is going to be so good. I could see some really low scoring games and that just some grinded out late. Whoever has the last possession is going to win the game. But I think I like Miami. Again, going back to what I said about Milwaukee, they're vulnerable from the 3-point line. Miami has so many good 3-point shooters. Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson. They have the Morris brother if he's back from that injury he had when he got in the fight with Jokic. I think he had whiplash from that for 2 or 3 months, but he's a factor. He can shoot threes from the corner. But, I mean, if Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero can get hot in this series, those are the 2 guys that can shoot Miami into the NBA Finals. And I think that's what happens. I mean, Tyler Hero had a crazy postseason in the bubble and then stunk it up last year. Not stunk it up, but I think really underwhelmed after some of the heroics he had in the NBA Finals in 2020 and the postseason all in general. So I like Miami. I do. I'm not going to talk myself out of it. I like Miami. I got them and Phoenix matching up in the NBA Finals.
All right. So moving on to the NBA Finals. We both have Phoenix, and I have Milwaukee. You have Miami. With this one, I have the rematch of last year's finals, and I know it's a little bit of a boring pick, but I just feel like both these teams just are very dominant, and I think Milwaukee is only a 3 seed because of the injuries they had throughout the season. If they were able to stay fully healthy, they'd be the 1 seed. And I feel like these are the two best teams in basketball, in my opinion. And it hasn't changed since last season. I am going to pick a different one than last season. Though. I'm picking Phoenix to win it all, and I'm picking it in 7 games. I don't know if I'm supposed to pick that yet because then I'll bring something up. But I'm picking Phoenix in 7, and I I think that this Phoenix team knows how to play against this Bucks team now. Last year's finals was a huge learning experience for them. They've come back better than last year. I think that that they know how to at least control Giannis to not allow him to have an outburst, and if they can control Giannis and and well have him be doing too much of the work to where other guys can't step up, that's gonna be a difference. I think Mikal Bridges is a good guy to match up with any of the weapons on Milwaukee. I think he's gonna be Defensive Player of the Year. Spoiler alert! And I love what Phoenix has put together. It's crazy how they had a great season last year, and I feel like they got better. And it's super hard to repeat and as NBA champions, super hard. And I do think Milwaukee can do it. That's why I think it's going to go 7 games. I just feel like it gets to a point where you're playing the same opponent 2 years in a row. They're going to learn how to stop you. And, I mean, they've been thinking about this since it happened last year, and they have the game plan set up. Monty Williams is a fantastic coach. They got guys who can guard all 5 positions on that roster. They're going to be able to control the paint, especially with Brook Lopez is turned more into a perimeter big. I feel like Ayton is going to have a better finals than last year, and I think it's all about the health. But I think Phoenix is going to win it in 7 games and get revenge on Milwaukee for last year's finals, and Chris Paul finally gets that ring. So I'm going Phoenix in 7 in this one.
Yeah, I like Phoenix in this one too. I just don't know what else they need to prove to people at this point, that the doubters. I mean, they've done everything they needed to do. They came back this season, like you said. I think they got better. I would say last year in the NBA Finals, Mikal Bridges, not my favorite player. He cost me and my buddy a lot of money on a sports bet that we had. Needed him to cash the over 1.5 threes. He made one, and that was the only part. That was the only piece of the parlay that we missed. So Mikal Bridges, you were dead to me last year. You've made up for it this year. really made a leap. Impressive. But yeah, I think this is will be a series that is a dogfight. I'm picking Phoenix in 7. Chris Paul Finals MVP. He finally gets that first ring, and that's just going to be just a great story. Chris Paul, I feel like, is one of those players that is most deserving of a ring. He's been on so many really good teams and has just had so many playoff hiccups, whether it was with the Clippers, then the Rockets. And then, I mean, he took that Oklahoma City team that no one expected to be anywhere close to the playoffs. And then what he did with Phoenix last year, the guy's just a winner, and he finally wins it all this year after being the ultimate winner for 20 seasons in the NBA. He finally gets it done, gets to hoist the trophy, and he's going to add a nice little Finals MVP trophy to his trophy case as well.
Yeah, so we both think Phoenix is going to win the championship this year, and I think it's kind of – it feels like it's the obvious pick, which doesn't really happen all the time as far as these brackets go, where the obvious pick ends up pulling it all out. But I think we both just agree that how deep and talented and the Phoenix team is, and one thing that they were missing last year was the playoff experience. Now they have that, so I feel like all the cards are on the table for Phoenix to go win this. Definitely not an easy road though, because in our brackets we have them playing Luka and the Mavs, then the Warriors, and then I had the Bucks and you had the Heat. So it's definitely not an easy road to get there. I feel like even these conference semifinal rounds have just fantastic matchups, and I feel like we're really going to be treated to a great postseason this year. I know the screen looks a little wonky right now for people watching the video, so I'm going to put the screenshots of our brackets on Twitter at GoneProPod, so you can let us know how stupid we are. And and yeah, we can go from there. But here are our picks for this year's NBA playoffs. Looking forward to it starting this weekend. Should be a lot of fun. I love watching when they get into games 5, 6, and 7, and they get into these tight series and see who steps up. Like last year, nobody would have picked the Hawks to make it that far, but they did. I feel like every year there's teams that kind of come out the woodworks a little bit, so should be a fun one. I'm looking forward to it, and this just really shows the level of talent in the NBA has improved dramatically over the past few years. So I think the NBA is in a great spot, and I think this is going to be a fantastic postseason.
Yeah, I'm still riding off the high of picking Cincinnati to make it to the Super Bowl. I think Miami's my Cincinnati in the NBA playoffs. I feel like no one's really giving them a lot of credit for being the 1 seed, and I like Miami. They've built a really good culture down there with Eric Spoelstra. Getting Jimmy Butler feels like the perfect fit again. I said that he feels like a Philly guy. He also feels like a Miami guy, and he's been nothing short of a really good player for Miami. So I think Miami's the NBA Cincinnati Bengals this year. I'm riding with them. I was right in the NFL. So let's see if I'm right in the NBA. But again, I mean, yeah, just so much quality, young talent. I mean, we've seen a couple new teams this year. Obviously, I think it's exciting to see. You know, I'm glad the Bulls are back in it, even though I have them picking or getting swept right out of the first round. But Bucks were a tough matchup. I think the Bulls will be back next year, but it's impressive to see what Memphis has been able to do this year. Dallas somehow got better after trading Porzingis, which was pretty crazy. The Lakers and Nets, I'm pretty sure, were preseason favorites to win the NBA title, and the Nets had to win a play-in game to get into the actual playoffs. And then the Lakers didn't even, just imploded and didn't even make the playoffs. Sorry, Eric, but it's just crazy. I mean, I feel like there's so much that could happen, and I feel like at least in my side of the bracket, I feel like I have a lot of these series going 7 games. So I mean, if we can get 7 games out of a lot of these series, postseason is going to be incredible. And I feel like once it gets down to that 7th game, it's one of those where it's a flip of a coin, really. I mean, if 3 teams have battled to even after 6 games, then that is going to be a banger. And I'm just ready. NBA playoff basketball, it's different. It's kind of like the NFL playoffs. There's just a different intensity to it, and I'm just excited. I like this year's playoff field. It feels like the clear favorite is Phoenix, but again, I feel like an Eastern Conference team could shock a lot of people and give Phoenix. And I mean, Phoenix, like I said, has no easy road if we're picking it correctly. And I mean, they have to play Dallas and then Golden State, and then either Miami or not. I'm not going to okay. We're going to discredit the Clippers or Pelicans, but Dallas and Golden State, and then either Miami or the Bucks. That's a tough road. And, I think that's the quality of the opponents is obviously ratcheted up here. And yeah, I think it's going to be a tough road for any of these teams to make it. I feel like there's no team in the postseason that you look at and this team doesn't deserve to be in it. So I'm excited. I think it's going to be a lot of competitive games, and yeah, I can't wait to get into it. I'm gonna be tuned in to watch whatever product the Bulls throw on the court this weekend. So hopefully it's a good one and they can make it competitive. Even if it is a sweep, as long as the Bulls keep it competitive, it is what it is. We'll be back next year fully healthy, hopefully with no Vooch, but
yeah, I'm sure we'll get into some of that Bulls talk after it's all said and done. Oh crap, my computer's about to die, so we gotta wrap this up. Thank you all for listening to or watching episode 26, I guess part 2 now of the Should Have Gone Pro podcast, our NBA playoff brackets. We appreciate all your support as always. Make sure you follow us on Instagram and Twitter at GoneProPod, at GoneProPod. We'll put the brackets on there so it's easier to see it. I know it's kind of a mess on the screen right now, but we'll make sure you guys can see our picks. But thank you for listening as always. Sorry this one was a little jagged due to the technical difficulties, but stuff happens. So We'll be back next week with some more talk. Maybe we'll do our NBA award predictions since regular season's all over, so we can talk about that a little bit. Talk about some NBA playoff stuff as stuff goes down. Brock and I are both following along with baseball. I know I'm following along a little more this year than years prior, so if anything crazy happens, maybe we'll discuss that a little bit. But other than that, I think we're looking pretty good. So hope everyone enjoys their weekend, enjoys the NBA playoffs, and we will talk to you later.
Cubs fans say Suzuki is the real deal. Real deal. Rookie of the year. Rookie of the year. I'm calling it right now. I think it's not a hot take. Guy's looked incredible. I think he's only going to keep hitting. He's real, guys. We've got him for 5 years. And it's going to be a good 5 years. That's my piece.
that was a little PS to the episode at the end.
Yeah, a little additional.
He has looked good, but it's only been the first week of the season. So
hey, Cubs World Series, baby. I'm optimistic.
I like it. Like your optimism. But I'm picking Torque to win the AL one. Anyway, good to see you guys. Talk to you next week. Bye.